Hi, my name is Gideon. I'm also known as Gideon Slight. Welcome to my studio, and I'm your creatively fit coach. So join me now. Hi, you guys. I am so excited to share with you a little bit about my collage process. As you can see, I've got a heap of papers here on my table, but what I want to show you is this. I have put together little collage strips using old strips of paper, and then I go into my stash, and all of these little bits and pieces that is left over from previous projects I accumulate into these strips, and I work them into just a flow composition that in the end becomes, something that you can play with. You can use a part of it, any part that is beautiful to you, and you can add that to a bookmark or a greeting card, or even continue to use it in your art journal or on your art projects. Of course, a strip like this looks rather fabulous, doesn't it? And all of these components that we have here are literal paper elements that I've created myself. So this becomes a usable collage piece that you then can further and create something beautiful with that. So let me just show you all of these strips that I've already made, and like you can see, it really provides you with excellent opportunities that you can then zoom in and cut out and use on a greeting card, or use the whole sections of it as decoration for a bookmark, anything like that, so it's really a lot of fun. And for me, it is almost like an occupational therapy, because I just love collage in the sense that you can get into a creative practice like this with no or zero experience, and it is really less objective art. So it's preventing the perfection within us sometimes to take over when we want to create something realistically, like a vase of flowers, and it doesn't quite look like it does in reality. Then our left brain wants to get in there and tell us that we're no good at it and it's best to put the brush down, right? So I know that's where a lot of people end up, and that's where a lot of people get stuck. So I encourage people to get into creative practice in a whole abstraction kind of way, and collage is certainly a door opener. So if you maybe get into collage, you have collage papers, or you want to begin to create collage elements for yourself, then this video is definitely going to be for you. So I am just going to sit with today's pile. Let me put those things away. Really, I just grabbed all of the random stuff that I've recently got in my box, and I sort of have a container like this. Let me just show you guys. That is always standing next to me with tissue papers in it, with whatever I'm working on in the moment. And I've got these awesome plastic vinyl kind of envelopes that I sort of use to compartmentalize some of the things. But it is starting to get a little bit clunky and busy and full. So this is one way that I reduce the paper stock that I have, and sort of create something new with it. And at the same time, this is also a practice that I can suggest at the end of every project. whether it be a page in your art journal or in a bigger project for that matter, because it's fun to accumulate papers that you create for specific projects, and they're always excellent resources for later. But it's very easy to become overwhelmed with everything that you have, and then the colors are all mixed together, and it becomes harder and harder to find something. So to organize things in a strip like this really becomes very useful and helpful, because it's sort of color coordinated and it's sort of the same vibe. So now, like I said, if you use a section of this, it can become very interesting. So without any further ado, what you really need for this is not a lot. I'm literally just using a Pritt stick or a glue stick, and I've got some office paper, A4 size, printouts of my letterhead that I don't need. So I literally ripped them in half. It's not even measured. It doesn't have to be exact. This is really about, think of it as an occupational therapy. Think of it as a way to just work through some of your current emotions and feelings and events that happened the week. So I normally put on some nice music and really just zone out in the present moment with what is lying in front of me, and I'm just intuitively putting pieces together. It doesn't even have to be a color story, it can be anything. There is really no rules. The only thing that I do try to do is I try to sort of work on a strip like this, and that makes it easier for me to store it. Other artists, just continue and they make one eternally long strip and then they roll it up to store it like that, maybe in a cake tin or something like that, and that's a great idea. But I don't have space for that, so flat works better for me. And I have bookmarks and greeting cards in mind in any case for this particular size of papers that I do have. So you can sort of compartmentalize and say, okay, get all your pieces that's this size together and all your pieces that's this size together. That's also fine, and then you end up with the smallest pieces. It can make life a little bit easier. So as I work through this file, I will start to, maybe do that. But my only rule really for now is I do try to sort of stick to a color story or a complementary color story in some way that would make the strip look interesting in itself. So really all you do is begin. So let me do one with you guys while I am getting into it, and just to show you, really I don't dig too deep for material and improving that. There's a piece, so let's get gluing. So what are you guys up to in your art studios, and what do you do in order to deal with excess material that you create, that you use in your projects? Have you ever thought about doing an art studio cleanup after every project, or are you one of those artists that like to work in organized chaos and springboard from the one project to the next? I know we are all different and we all like to work in our own way that sort of makes sense for us. So if you would like to share with me how you like to work in your studio and what you would like, what you normally do with your excess material. Do you just store it? Do you throw it away? What do you guys do with your excess art supplies that might be in your way? Do you deal with it or not? So this is my way of a way to sort of recycle what I've got left over, so that I don't throw it in the dustbin, because it's so easy, right, to be busy and work with stuff, and then it gets in your way, and before you realize it, you throw it away because you don't need it right now, but you might need it tomorrow, or it could be used in another project. And I know that a lot of people think that collage artists are hoarders. I suppose that it can look like hoarding in a lot of ways because you're holding on to everything. But that is exactly why I'm coming to a little practice like this, because I like to use up what I have and not throw it away, because now I'm creating a whole new collage element from scraps of paper that's left over from a previous kind of project, you know. So the only thing that I am doing is I am trying to sort of try and see if I can bring the elements together on this little strip that would make it look interesting or beautiful. So in a way, intuitively, I keep practicing what I am doing in my other art projects. I keep in mind that there's balance and flow and harmony and all of these things. So, but I don't try to think of it too hard. For me, this is really a letting go process. Let go of the week, let go of any drama, let go of any distressing factors, things that we worry about, processing difficult emotions. I think collage as an occupational therapy and as an art therapy is really something that you must explore if you have never done so, because it is so accessible. And it's quite interesting. I listened to a whole talk that Robyn McClendon did on the subject, and I was so inspired by what she said and what she shared about collage. And I really encourage you to pop over to her channel, just look out for Robyn McClendon and see what amazing work she does. And her video specifically, I will see if I can add a link to that specific video where she talks about, you know, the amazing, you know, therapeutic art benefits of collage. In fact, she even went as far to say that collage can be seen as a healing modality. And that's when I started paying attention to exactly what it is that she's talking about. And I totally agree with her. As an art therapy, you know, it allows you to become quiet and just to be present with the paper and the glue and the intention and the project that you're currently working on. And in sort of placing together various papers and collage elements, it is sort of a way to articulate our feelings. It is a way to sort of express what we are feeling, and sometimes without realizing it, you know, a solution can pop into your mind, or you see something in your collage work that reflects back to you exactly what you are dealing with, and or it sort of gives you a space. I think she called it a space where you can just hold grace, either for you or for another person, maybe a friend or family member that's going through something difficult, or if it is you that is maybe dealing with, you know, some kind of challenges in your life. Maybe you're in pain, maybe you are grieving, maybe you are feeling a bit lost and or abandoned, or whatever you are feeling. It might not even be a negative feeling. It might be a feeling of, you know, I'm feeling inspired and I want to do something, but I don't know what. You know, I know a lot of you follow me that is getting into having a creative practice, and I've got a lot of creative coaches following me to see how I work, and that is absolutely awesome and flattering and beautiful. So collage, yes, definitely opens up a door. It opens up possibilities, and it helps you to get over that fear of not knowing what to do next or to create perfectly. I think perfectionism must be one of the most difficult sort of ideas or limiting beliefs around art that is preventing people from creating. And it's so sad to me because, you know, when we want to create something that's absolutely perfect, then you go to a printer and you ask a computer to print you something. And there is a beauty in that organized perfection of a print and of drawing with a ruler and a line and whatever. There's nothing wrong with that either, because we do need those art forms as well, like architecture and engineering and so forth. But when it comes to, you know, a creative practice, and I'm talking specifically to my listeners and viewers that is dreaming about creating art. And you're not trying to save the world, you're not trying to solve world hunger, you're not trying to, you know, necessarily make a living from it. Hopefully, eventually you will be able to, because I believe everyone can be abundant and be blessed through their creative practice. And, you know, we sometimes also need an outlet for the art that we create, so that, you know, we can continue to create. So, you know, all of these things put aside, I'm talking to you that have this dream and you always just watch videos and you never get over to action because you always compare yourself and you always say, oh, that is a great idea, but I can't do it because I don't have those ideas. You know what? I totally identify with that, and I felt like that for so many years. For many years, I felt disconnected from my personal art and creating practice because I thought I needed to go to art school. And if you didn't go to art school, then you know what, you can't create art because you have no clue what you're doing. And whatever you do always feels, I don't know, like you didn't quite nail it because it doesn't look the way that you intended it to look. And you know what, how liberating that was for me when I learned that that's perfectly okay. You know, so many artists that do know how to create it, you know, work so hard to become loose in their creation so that it doesn't look contrived and stiff and, you know, forced. So when you learn that, you know, if you draw a vase and it looks sort of like a vase-ish, and it's a flower, but it's a flower-ish. You know, there's this beautiful short story that I heard recently that really, you know, inspired me because if you just create, even if you just nail a kind of sort of element of it, then that's perfectly fine because it's better than not creating. And it becomes very liberating when you start to give yourself permission to just create and allow it to be, and not to fiddle with it too much and not to be too critical of it. And you know, a lot of times I've seen when you create something like this, in the moment you might think, oh, you know, this doesn't look like anything. Why did I bother? But I promise you, just let it be for a minute and you come back to it and you look at it again, you go, oh my word, that's interesting, because you sort of, your brain needed time to sort of be disconnected from it and disassociated from it. And when you come back, you have an objective look at it and you go, oh my word, that's beautiful lines. How did I do that? A piece that didn't work, that might have been on its own, nothing, suddenly became something the minute you put it together with other art elements. In the end, I normally just allow this to dry. I just cut the excess pieces that I felt needed to stick over. And you don't even have to do this, but I think it sort of rounds it up in the beginning. On the front of the artwork, when there's a definite shape that contains all of these collage elements that I've now put together. And I'll show you guys now. Just want to show you my process so that if you are inspired to try this with maybe some papers that's lying around in your studio, that you can go ahead and do that. and see what you can create with it, because we each have our own color palette and we have our own types of papers around us, especially if you've created your own. So, but even if you have a pack of store-bought papers that you don't know quite what to do with, maybe some scrapbooking papers, you can try this as well. And yeah, just tear some pages and stick them on a strip and see what happens, you know. So you see, when you turn it around and you've neatened out your line, then you have a beautiful collage element that you can use as, I don't know, the next thing. So at least this has become something, because 5 minutes ago it was a heap of scrap like this, and now it's transportable, it is fileable, and it is usable. So I hope that this little short inspiration video on how I create these collage strips will inspire you to go to your studio and maybe look at all the things that's lying around that you are not using right now, especially papers and things like that, and that you can maybe put together something interesting and beautiful for you. So do take some photographs and share it with me. Join my Creative Heart group on Facebook. That is where I continue to support what you are doing, and I absolutely enjoy to see what people are playing with and what they are creating in their lives. So that is always welcome. It is a safe community that is there to encourage you. And if you are new to my channel, hit that subscribe button. I usually come around at least once a week with a creative art prompt and or demonstration of some kind. And at this present moment, we are journeying through our art journal. So talk about that. Some of my friends have recently asked me, why don't you please just have a quick flip through in your art journal and show us some of the previous pages that you've done. Okay, you don't have to beg me twice. And you can see my art journal is starting to get nice and thick and chunky. And this is my very first art journal that I have come this far. Usually I sort of just get to there and then I sort of abandon ship. So I'm very proud of myself, of how far I've come. And this has been a journey as well, because we started with, well, I started working in my journal, forgive me, for the Creative Jumpstart process. And if you look at my playlist, you will see there's a Creative Jumpstart, a 5-week free workshop that I did on YouTube. That sort of is a way to get started in your creative practice. And these first pages in my art journal are exercises from that particular series that I did. So do check it out. I just like to put a little piece of wax paper in the sheet, seeing that it's collage and multimedia. And you will see as I page through my journal here how I have evolved in sort of my theme and also my sort of technique. And this should be encouraging to you as well, because you know, just start, just begin to play with elements and start to introduce other elements and see how they come together for you and see what is beautiful for you. Because in the end, if you work through an art journal like this, you will be able to literally categorize every little shape and color and element that you've used in your journal, and you can begin to count how many times did you do a circle, how many times did you do a diamond, how many times did you use the color blue, how many times did you use a feather, you know. And you will begin to understand that, you know, some of these things is, you know, part of your personal art language, your own personal art ethos. It tells the story that you want to tell, you know, about art in your life. And you will see themes emerge in your art journal. Like I started to explore some of my Reiki symbols again and my Reiki practice for my personal health. It really was interesting to really begin to see the connection between our art, our mind, our heart, our emotions, our thoughts, and when we have had a high moment in this journey, and when we have had a low moment in our journey, and how did the art journal in the end help you to process those most emotions or feelings or thoughts, experiences, challenges, you know, even sometimes how solutions came to you. And in the process of that, you've developed your art, you've developed your brush miles, you've developed your skills, you've developed you know, your perception of your art, and you start to fall in love with magical moments. Like this was an absolute magical day of how things came together on this page, and it is so much fun. So check this one out. They are all in my weekly creative heart prompt playlist, so you can literally watch how I create each of these pages in my art journal. This was also a fun one. So I've actually, this one got a lot of hits because people love the flowers, and I also enjoyed how I put this together. And I took this idea to another canvas of mine, and I want to show you how you can play in your art journal and come across something that turns out really beautiful, and you go, oh my word, that's really nice, I should really invest this and make this a bigger canvas, or you know, take it to a bigger canvas. So I love how this turned out, and this is exactly what I made with it. So I took it to my Hamsa practice onto a canvas, and I applied the same collage materials. I just worked with a bit of gold. Let me bring it a little bit closer for you guys. I hope you can see. And I also played with all of my multimedia tools that I normally do. This is going to be part of my exhibition on the 2nd of September at Cafe Allure here in Pretoria. So if you happen to be in Pretoria on the 2nd of September, do come around to Cafe Allure and come see my art. I'm going to have an art exhibition there on that day, so that's fun. And continue my page through as well. This was also a great day. This was just before we started playing with all of the elements, and on this day I was inspired by the sun reflecting on the water, and it was just so much fun to see how these pages come together. So I've learned so much about my personal color palette, and which colors brings me joy and which colors works nicely together, discovering new colors and how to mix them, and how they work together in composition. And that was fun. I mean, I would personally, I've never worked with reds. Reds was one of my least favorite colors, but I found new ways to work with reds that I do enjoy, and I sort of addressed that in one of my videos that is called Forbidden Color. So do check that one out as well. So this was also a particular fun day. It was the fire day, and we played with a lot of fire, and it was interesting to see how this came together. And then one of my friends commented and said, it looked like you threw these monks into the fire. You know what? We as Buddhists do believe about the transformational power of fire. But I did come back and I placed a turquoise feather here with some washi tape as a signal of compassion and protection for my monks on this page, and to protect them from the fire. So that became part of my wish and prayer. It was never my intention to put people in fire. That was just the way the collage came together. And this is 2 weeks ago. We talked about the element of air, and that was a lot of fun. And then on Monday we are going to be dealing with the element of air, and I jumped a few pages because I worked on a particular page, and all of these pages were just activated with other collage elements in the meantime. This was also a page. I'm still looking for my air element. Oh, this is air. Oh, sorry, I said, yeah, but it is air. I'm confused. Where's my water? There's my water element. I forgot. You see, guys? Sometimes, even our own art will confuse us. So yes, this was exciting, and you'll be able to view this air episode on Monday afternoon, and that's going to be some fun because we played with straws and all kinds of things. So there's very few pages left here in my art journal, but there is still a few left, and I'm going to continue to work on it up to a point. I'm going to leave a few pages here in the back, simply because my journal is getting so chunky that, and I'm ready to expand. I'm ready to open up and get a journal that's maybe a A4 size, so that, you can tell a bigger story. So I did enjoy starting on a smaller journal like this because it gave me the confidence to sort of bring things together in a short period of time and build my confidence as a multimedia collage artist. And I must say, from the beginning of this journal, where I just played with shapes and color, to complex compositions and multiple mediums on top of each other, I am so thrilled with my personal journey. Like I said, this is my first art journal that I got this far, and now that I see the potential in it and the positive effect it has on me as a creative practice focus, I'm excited to continue into the future and maybe create books that can be sold as a work of art that people can page through, and so forth. But you know what I always say, an art journal is a great place where you learn to play and to listen to your intuition and bring elements together in a way that's not stressful, that you have to produce something now because you're going to sell it or give it as a gift. So if you've never tried art journaling, I will recommend that you join my 5-day creative jumpstart. Check that out and begin to follow the hard prompts in week 1 that started in the first week of January this year. We are already in our 5th month of the year, so it's quite exciting to see how this journey is unfolding. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on Monday afternoon. If you can't check it at 4 o'clock, then do remember to check in later when you do have a time. Remember to hit that subscribe and like button. You do so much for the art community. If you actually like a video, maybe comment on it, subscribe, and even share it. If you found it useful or helpful in any way, do these things and you will really help an artist begin an amazing career going forward. So thank you for your support, thank you for your love, thank you for all your comments, and I just love spending time with you guys, and I'll speak to you again real soon. Bye bye for now.